Stockholm, a city that floats on water. This Venice of the north was built on 14 islands. The Swedish metropolis is a place of elegance. Stockholm has managed to retain its timeless character, yet is also a modern city. Gamla Stan, or Old Town, is the name of the city's 3 central islands that are linked by numerous bridges. Its ambience is that of the Middle Ages. Small and mysterious alleys and beautiful buildings that date back to the 7th century characterize the life of the traders who once lived here. There's a fascinating line of small shops and a wonderful assortment of arts and crafts, jewellery and fashion. The city's restaurants and cafes are a popular place to relax. This district is full of age-old charm. Gamla Stan divides both sea and lake, the Baltic Sea and the Mälar Lake. It was here that Stockholm's history took root in the 12th century. After the Vikings, the next to arrive here were German traders from Lübeck. Then the 3 kingdoms of Sweden were united and Stockholm became their capital. Skogskyrkogarden, or Big Church, dates back to the 14th century, and its history is closely associated with the Swedish royal family. It's used for royal ceremonials. Its long nave is brightly illuminated and is a particularly impressive sight. Thus, the splendor of this Protestant religious building is obvious from the first moment. Mighty red-tiled columns support several circular arches, and small ships are suspended by rope from high above. The Old Town's most dominant building is the royal castle, Kungliga Slottet. Larger than London's Buckingham Palace, it contains 608 rooms. Birger Jarl, the Wise, originally built a small fortress here. Albrecht of Mecklenburg expanded it and named it Tre Kronor, when Gustav Vasa transformed it into a royal residence. Fire destroyed large areas of the old palace that was rebuilt in the style of an Italian palazzo in the 18th century. At first, this massive building proved to be too large for the royal family, so they moved to the Baroque Drottningholm Castle in the western area of the city. The cannon are a reminder that this was a place of politics and negotiation. The Royal Guard are one of the oldest regiments in the world. Kungliga Slottet is the largest castle in the world that is still in use. However, most of it is open to the public. One area of Stockholm is located on the freshwater Mekar Lake, and the other on the Solsjön, a saltwater estuary that flows into the Baltic Sea. During the 18th century, around 75,000 people lived here, but with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution, many of the region's rural inhabitants moved into the city that continues to expand even today. The city's economy continues to flourish and empty apartments are few and far between. This modern and progressive metropolis enjoys much prosperity and influence. The Stadshuset is one of the city's landmarks, designed in the medieval style and with a tower that is almost 106 meters tall. The most important artists of the time were engaged in the creation of the Blue Hall, in which the Nobel Prize ceremony now takes place each year. A total of 9 million tiles was used, 2 million of them created by hand. Each courtyard is partly roofed and contains an arcade. In and around Stockholm City Hall, there are many reminders of Sweden's long and colourful history, from the Vikings to the present day. Built in 1891, the neoclassical Opera House is situated on the waterside. Here, great operatic stars such as Birgit Nilsson began their career. The first building to appear here was the setting for the infamous masked ball during which King Gustav was assassinated. The new Opera House is a splendid building designed by Axel Anderberg. Those who appreciate museums will not be disappointed by Stockholm. It boasts more than 50. The National Museum, located on the Strömmen Canal, contains countless works of art. Due to the passion for art of various of Sweden's royal family and also generous public donations, the National Museum has a truly outstanding collection of French paintings that date back to the 18th century. The Historiska Museet was inaugurated in 1943 and became famous due to its unique collection of early medieval wooden altars and depictions of numerous saints. There's also a special section devoted to the Vikings. precious treasures and mysterious objects are exhibited in secure vaults. There's a further section that focuses on the Goths. Warriors' clothing is displayed here, and also the artistry of the country's ancient woodcarvers. The museum's exhibits cover 11,000 years of the country's history. But the city's most unusual museum is the Vasa-museet, that was built around a famous ship. Sweden's most popular museum features the Vasa battleship that sank when first launched due to its center of gravity being too high above sea level. Equipped with 64 cannon and named after King Gustav Vasa, the ship capsized on the 10th of August 1628. This symbol of megalomania sank in Stockholm's harbour during the 30 Years' War. It was recovered in 1961. Its restoration took almost 35 years of painstaking work. Part of the preservation process meant that the entire ship had to be cut into small sections below water and was then put together again piece by piece. Reminiscent of an exquisite Renaissance castle, the Nordiska Museet was built at the beginning of the 20th century in Vasa Renaissance style. Towers and gabled roofs decorate the huge castle in which Swedish daily life, dating from 1520 until the present day, is on full display. This museum, designed by Isak Gustav Classen, was inaugurated in 1907 and contains more than 1.5 million exhibits. During Sweden's industrialization, Arthur Hazelius was keen to preserve the country's rural culture and thus collected a vast array of traditional clothing, furniture and jewelry. In 1891, Skansen was open to the public. The world's first and largest open-air museum, built on a hill on the island of Djurgården. Its founder, Artur Hazilius, wanted to preserve and display entire houses, but there was not sufficient room within a museum. Hence the creation of Skansen. This gave rise to several imitations, and open-air museums are now a popular attraction throughout the world. Around 150 buildings from all over Sweden have been rebuilt on the island, original and in their natural setting. Several old farmhouses recreate the atmosphere of many of the country's regions and the lifestyle of bygone times. There's also a church that dates back to the 18th century. Church services take place here, and even weddings. Greta Blick is the name of this 30-meter-high watchtower. People wearing traditional costume add to the authentic ambience as they work with old machinery and tools to produce materials as in days of yore. Tiny works of art are offered for sale. It's all extremely fascinating. It really does bring the past back to life. Large enclosures are home to many of the region's wild animals, and several domestic creatures run around freely. Skansen is a wonderful museum for both young and old alike. Stockholm is also a modern city, a city in which new trends spread like wildfire, with elegant shops, fine restaurants and busy streets. An attractive metropolis with pedestrianised precincts, modern shops and spacious streets, plus cultures both old and new. Particularly during the last century, Sweden's neutrality helped it to establish a social welfare state from which its people greatly benefited, and which has since served as a model in many other countries. In Stockholm, both the sea and the architecture have created an incomparable symbiosis. Glittering water surrounds the splendid buildings that line the banks of this colourful city. From the water, the monumental buildings of the islands of the Old Town are especially eye-catching. Green copper roofs and imposing facades exude the city's historic prosperity. Stockholm continues to grow and its suburbs are densely populated. Tall bridges link its various islands and facilitate the passage of large ships. Around 250,000 boats are registered here, and at weekends, amateur boating enthusiasts pack their vessels with everything necessary for a relaxing couple of days on the water. Due to strict controls, the water is extremely clean. Thus, both fish and humans can enjoy it to the full. Six kilometres south of Stockholm is a cemetery. It has been designated as a World Heritage Site by Unesco. The Skogskyrkogarden. Here, nature, architecture, and gravestones unite in perfect harmony. The unique character of this area has been well preserved. Surrounded by graves amid this pine forest is a hill for meditation and three chapels that are dedicated to faith, hope, and the Holy Cross. Skogskyrkogarden is the final resting place for many of Stockholm's past inhabitants, and also some of its most famous, including Greta Garbo, who was born in Stockholm in 1905. Its final design was the result of a competition, and it's well worth a visit. This extraordinary complex took 30 years to build and is unique in the world. Located on the idyllic Löven Island is the royal castle of Drottningholm Slott that is the main residence of the Swedish royal family. The Versailles of the North. Queen Hedvig Eleonora had this Baroque castle built in 1662, and in 1744 was presented to Queen Louisa Ulrika as a wedding gift. The master builder Tessin was influenced by contemporary Italian and French architects, and in addition to the magnificent castle, also created a huge Baroque park, theatre, and a Chinese pavilion. Although each of the castle's three gardens are laid out in a different style, they blend perfectly together and stimulate the senses: sight, sound, and sense. The view across the park and the castle, the water inside the wells, the flowers, bushes and trees, each one invades the senses. When Queen Louisa Ulrika celebrated her 34th birthday, her royal husband presented her with an elegant Chinese summer residence, Gamla Slottet. A wonderful combination of Far Eastern artistry and traditional Chinese flair. Since 1998, this centuries-old Hansa city has also been a cultural capital of Europe. The city of the Vikings is an architectural treasure. Stockholm, beauty on the water.